After getting sick and having to run out about a half hour into this movie, I was finally able to get back to the theater and finish being Stuckmannized. There was probably 1,000 better ways for me to say that. Hi everybody, Anthony here from Awesome Anthony Productions, and today I'm going to give you my review of the big screen debut of longtime YouTube critic Chris Stuckmann, Shelby Oaks. But before we get started, please leave a like, and at the end of the review, if you think I've earned it, please subscribe and hit that bell icon to be notified whenever I post. Now on to the review. Based on Stuckmann's own found footage series from YouTube, Paranormal Paranoids, a YouTube show about 4 paranormal investigators, this movie takes that concept and runs with it. The last upload in that series showed the disappearance of the team's host, Riley Brennan, played by Sarah Dern, when they investigate the ghost town of Shelby Oaks. This happened back in 2008 in the story of the film. But Riley's older sister, Mia, played by Camille Sullivan, has never gotten over it. So when she uncovers a mini DV tape labeled Shelby Oaks, she obsesses over it, setting off to uncover the truth. And maybe she should have just left well enough alone. Now, regardless of what you think about Chris Stuckmann's new style of reviewing since he started making this movie, or his filmmaking debut, it's really hard to not feel inspired by this story. A YouTube critic writes a horror script with his wife, crowdfunds the budget, builds momentum through sheer passion, and lands it in theaters? That's awesome! As someone who also lives and breathes film and eventually wants to make horror movies, it's nothing short of inspiring. But that aside, the real question here is Shelby Oaks any good? Is it scary? Does it hold up beyond just being a novelty? Let's find out. Now, the opening 15 minutes had me hooked. It's all presented in found footage style, blending clips from Paranormal Paranoids videos, news reports, and documentary style interviews with Mia talking about her sister. If you're going in blind like I did, like I had no idea about the story, I didn't even know the Paranormal Paranoids channel existed, this opening sequence does a phenomenal job introducing you to the world and building up a sense of dread. It's unnerving, mysterious, and has that creepy, effective vibe that Lake Mungo did so well so many years ago. It honestly just feels like the perfect tone setter. Naturally, having not even seen a trailer, I assumed that the rest of the movie would follow that style. Then at about the 20-minute mark, we get opening titles, and the movie transitions into a traditional horror movie. And unfortunately, that's where it all starts to stumble. The first red flag? Stupid horror character decisions. Within minutes of it switching to a traditional horror movie, Mia gets blood all over her face. Not hers, of course. And walks around with it on there for hours? I was just sitting there like, girl, can't you find a sink? A wet wipe? Something? Then she decides to go investigate the abandoned Shelby Oaks prison by herself. In the middle of the night, because that always goes well. These moments with these dumb decisions kind of start to pile up, and it really takes you out of that realism that first 20 minutes works so hard to build. Then come the CGI dogs, and when I say CGI, I mean Sci-Fi Channel CGI. There's also a ton of jump scares, there's a few that land, but most of them don't and feel kind of awkward. And after seeing all of that after that strong first half hour, I started to worry that this film was going to fall apart completely. But then something clicked. As Mia's investigation deepens, she meets a new character. No spoilers, but this character is genuinely creepy as hell. Mia. And at that point, the movie starts to find its rhythm again. The tension ramps back up, the mystery gets interesting, and I was starting to lean forward in my seat instead of rolling my eyes. By the final act, I was surprisingly pulled all the way back in, especially by that ending. And trust me, I'm gonna come back to that. But before I do, let's give credit where credit's due. The performances. Even with some clunky lines and moments of stilted direction, the cast mostly brings it here. Camille Sullivan absolutely carries this movie as Mia. She nails that blend of grief, paranoia, and stubborn determination. Even when she's making boneheaded decisions, you can't help but root for her. Keith David shows up for a scene, just one, as the retired warden from the Shelby Oaks prison, and immediately reminds everybody why he's a legend. Seriously, his voice alone should get an IMDb credit. Now, Sarah Dern as Riley, she's fine in short bursts, but a lot of her line delivery made me laugh when it shouldn't have, and it's kind of a shame because the whole story kind of revolves around her. But the real MVP outside of Mia, that creepy new character that I mentioned that comes in the second half. I won't spoil who or how they come in, but they are absolute nightmare fuel, and I kind of wish I would have seen more of them. Now, production-wise, this thing looks better than I ever expected it to. The found footage segments are raw and authentic. I mean, it's kind of hard to screw that up. You just have to point the camera at something. But once the film shifts into cinematic mode, it looks surprisingly slick for a $1.5 million movie. Every location feels lived in. Dusty, abandoned, eerie, especially when Mia finally steps foot into Shelby Oaks itself. That prison that she goes to gave me chills just from the wide shots, and the atmosphere does a ton of heavy lifting here. You can tell this was made by someone that genuinely loves horror and understands how to make a dreadful, tension-filled atmosphere. That said, this movie is really a mixed bag. For every moment that works, like the found footage, the mood, the acting, there's something else that doesn't. Weak dialogue, cliche jump scares, and those demon dogs straight out of Windows 98. But then, the ending hits. And I won't spoil what happened, but let me tell you, I was shocked. It's dark, It's unexpected, and it made me sit up in my chair and say, okay, Chris, I see you. It's definitely the kind of ending that's going to divide audiences. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. Stay tuned for Begonia, because I got a similar line in that review. But me, it shocked me and I respected the hell out of it. And it made me like the movie a lot more. Chris Stuckmann, I know this movie's not getting the response that you hoped for. Critics are mixed, audiences are split, and YouTube critics are just tearing this movie apart. But here's the thing. I see real potential here, because there are genuine moments of brilliance here in Shelby Oaks. Moments where the direction clicks, the scares land, the emotions feel raw. It's not a great movie, but it's a good first step, one that makes me very curious about what you'll do next. But next time, maybe just stick behind the camera and hand off script writing duties to somebody else. And that's my review of Shelby Oaks. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like, scroll down, leave a comment, let me know if you saw this movie, and if you want more of my content, you can click or tap on these cards right here. It'll take you to the final chapter of my horror movies that made me series on The Exorcist, or just over to my channel where you can check out the rest of my reviews. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you next time for my review of Begonia.